Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross-stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see and you'll stick around and just share in all of the stitchy fun that I think we have here. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. You know how much I appreciate you, and I would love to know what you're stitching on and what's going on with you stitchy-wise. Let me know. Let us know. Put it in the comments and we can all celebrate you. Alrighty, so I have my usual amount of projects this week. I usually do between 10 and 12 in the course of a week because some I do a couple strands a day. My full coverage, I do a certain amount a day, and then I just mix around if there's challenges and things like that. You will most likely never see me unless I was either traveling away and only had one project, stitch on one project in the course of the day. I think maybe it's part of my paper crafting roots. I've probably said this before, but you would work on multiple projects in the course of a day. For example, when I had my Etsy shop, I'd have to do a whole bunch of things to fulfill orders. So my brain just likes to work that way and to jump around. And that way, because I have so many projects, I get a chance to touch quite a few of them. And except for once in a while, if I don't make a concerted effort, most of them do get attention. Every once in a while, a few kind of, for whatever reason, sit there lonely. And this year I'm really going to try to make an effort to not have that happen so that all of my projects will get some work on them a few times and not just even just once. So we'll see how well I do with that. But not a lot of beforehand stuff. Just wanted to say today is February 2nd. Excuse me. So our deadline for the trading cards is sort of here, but if you need the weekend, say you've stitched and you just didn't get a chance to fully finish and you need the weekend and you can send it out at the beginning of next week, that's fine. Join in still. I don't want you to feel like you've missed out. Feel free to still participate and send, and just let me know it's coming so that way I know. And then I'm hoping, so I wait for all of them to come in. I give it the month. So, as we wait as February, as things come in and so on and so forth. Then before I can pull the names once I have everybody. Well, again, I still have to wait to pull the names. So a lot happens at the end of the month. But before I start placing everything where it needs to go, I will gather all of the trading cards that came in and we will do another Flosstube Extra where I'll show you all of the little tiny masterpiece finishes that everybody did. It was I've seen them come in and they look fantastic. And every time, so this is the second time, but even when I was just one-on-one trading, there are ways to finish that I don't think of, and you all inspire me. And I was going to do something new. I've got one more to finish that I know of, and I kind of messed up, so it's not going to finish the way I wanted to, but when I get to it, I'll show you and I'll talk about it. But you are inspiring me as well. So I think it's so much fun. And this way, if you're on the fence and you're not sure, well, I don't know how to finish these things, these videos are really helpful because I will go through each and every one and talk about what they did. So that's coming, but that's a few weeks off yet. We want to make sure the mail postal service has a chance to bring them all to me. And if you mailed and for some reason the post office just, your little card went on a vacation and went somewhere else besides me. And if it comes in after the swaps, don't worry, I will swap with you. So I always want to make sure the same thing. If I've sent out and you didn't get it, because again, sometimes these things just get lost or whatever, let me know. I'd be happy to do a swap with you because I want you to be able to, get the interaction of the back and forth. So. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get going with our projects. So last week, technically, Bringo was over by the time I filmed, because I think it was, what day was it? Let me see here. I have my calendar here. So that was Friday the 26th. So the last call would have been on the 25th. If you're not sure what Bringo is, it is a January game in the magazine monthly cross-stitch challenge group on Facebook. What I do in the description box below, when I talk about people or my projects or groups or whatever, buying things, I will put everything in the description box below. Sometimes I forget, I try to have a pen and paper with me so that I can write down what I said I'd link for you. But if I forget, just throw a comment in there so that I can remember that, okay, other people could be looking for it too, and I'll try to fix that and put it in there. But I will put the Bringo might have its, I don't remember how I have it set up. I basically cut and paste from week to week once I have it. So however it's set up, just look down below for Facebook groups, challenges, games, and all of that I know of. There are, I'm sure, plenty more other ones that I am not a part of, whether I know, most of the times I just don't know about some of these things, right? There could be plenty of others out there if you're looking for some. But anyway, so Bringo, I was doing just fine, and then I told you last week, I purposely didn't do a few of the Bringo pieces because I had so many projects from Whip Frenzy and Bringo, and I didn't plan it right, that I said, I don't want to have a video with 20 projects to show you. Well, not that many, but you know what I mean. So I purposely waited to do some of my Bringo pieces to this past week. I finished it, got a blackout, the whole bit. I'll show you my challenge book after we finish with the stitching part of it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what I want to say about that. So I don't have them in specific orders of when the things were called because I was confusing myself looking at my calendar and going a week back and not knowing what I was doing. So I just kind of have them in no particular order here. So you'll see a little bit of everything. But so let's see, this first one, I have my book right next to me. So the call was for something with a bird. Well, that's easy, right? Let me show you what the finished project will look like. And I'm getting close. This will definitely be a finish this year. This is called Harvest Star Tea. It is number 3 of the series. You can find it at So Much to Love on Etsy. And I believe Michelle Palmer, if I'm reading, let me see. I'm almost sure it's Michelle Palmer is the artist of these. And then they're on So Much to Love on Etsy. There are 5, like I said. I own a second one of these. I do not have all 5. I don't think I would stitch all 5, but I thought that the next one I have was cute. I think it might be no, I'm not even going to make a speculation which one it is. So I went sort of neutral, but not quite the same neutral that they went on with the model stitch. So this is an 18 count. It's Ocean Air from Fox and Rabbit. Who was I watching? I think it was Helen D. And Helen was talking about, I think that she had gotten a piece of Fox and Rabbit. Aida? I don't remember. I mean, I'm going to link Helen anyway, because if you're not watching Helen, I'm sure you are. But if you're not, she has got some great projects and finishes and all that kind of wonderful stuff. She's very generous with her stitching instructions and time and effort that she puts into all of that. But, and whoever it was, whether it was Helen or somebody else, I remember them saying, you know, they hadn't stitched on it yet. They were curious. I love Fox and Rabbit Aida. The only place I have found it, I shouldn't tell you because if I go to get some, there'll be none left. I'm going to tell you anyway. But Hollis Hands Creates on Etsy. And you know what? I'll link them down below in there. I'm sure there are other places. And if there are, feel free to put them in the comments so other people can find them, plus me. I love their Aida. Their Aida is very nice to stitch on. There are several companies that are kind of that sweet spot between it flops over, like a picture of this plus, or it could stand on its own, like some of the traditional white Aidas or the Zweigerts or whatever. And then you have you'd have Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. So so the in-between would be the Baby Bear of the Aida, how it feels. And this is most definitely right in that middle. It's really nice. I stitch in hand, so that does, the super stiff Aida doesn't bother me when I stitch in hand. The super soft does, but this is just quite lovely. I am just plugging along. So really, this is all done. Don't know, that's supposed to be like that. I wasn't sure if I flubbed that up, but the whole top is done. Everything is completed. I don't think there's any back stitch or anything because I usually wait at the end. No, it doesn't look like there's any. So really, it's just this cup right here. And there are several colors. When you look at the picture, you don't necessarily register that there's 2 or 3 grays before you get to the white middle. And did I finish all of I have a little bit of more of the black. That's a black actually for the cup itself. So I have a little bit more to do with that, but it's been a lovely stitch. I've really enjoyed it. I will enjoy stitching the second one, and then maybe I'll do some more. I don't know. At the moment, I didn't have any plans to. These will be scrapbooked. If you are new to my channel, I scrapbook many of my finishes. If you go to my December of 2023 Flossmasses, one of the Flossmasses, and I don't remember which number it is, it's probably 2 or 3, I did a flip through of my scrapbooks as of mid-December 2023. So you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say I scrapbook my pieces. But these two will most definitely be scrapbooked together. They're kind of a pair in my mind, and so that's what'll happen with that. I have several pieces. So I have a current 25/7 piece. I'll talk about that and what it is when I get there. But as I was doing some of my preparing and looking at my projects and listing them, there's another one I said, oh, that could be a 25/7. This easily, if I don't get it finished with, you know, prompts and so on and so forth, I'll make this a 25/7, and then that'll get it finished right away. So that's where it is. Alrighty. I'm back in my corner. You'll see from last week's video, I was sitting at the craft table and I had my shelves behind me. Depending on what I need or want to do, sometimes one way is easier than the other. I've done it from this corner for so long, it feels like coming home. And it's really, excuse me, easy to set up. So, you know, unless I'm specifically doing something I think where I would need my table, and certainly if I do anything where we're looking down onto what I'm working on, then most of the time you'll probably see me here. And every once in a while I'll switch it up, especially once I switch what's hanging and when I have some more things on the shelves. All right, so next, this also was a Bringo piece. This was the very last call. And number 11, it was a non-USA designer and Barbaraana Designs. So that's what it looks like. It's black and white, but I don't have a color printer. Once we moved down here, we got rid of our bigger printer, and, you know, because inks are expensive. And so everything is just black and white. So when I print, that's it. But that's okay, because I'm getting there. So, you know, you'll get the idea of what it looks like in the colors. That's what it is. And when I get these calls, so for Bringo, they asked for a minimum of 100. And when I was doing it each day following it, I got the 100. Sometimes I got more, sometimes I didn't. I try in the course of a week to give something, unless it's a new start and I just haven't gotten that far with it yet, I try to give it a minimum of 300 stitches so we have some sort of idea what something is. So if I did something for Bringo, for example, and I only got 110 stitches, I will go back in the course of the week, because filming on Friday is kind of nice. I do a lot of switching on the weekends, and then during the week I kind of go back and say, okay, let's add some more stitches to some of these pieces. But this one here is 18 Count Tropical by Fabrics by Stephanie. I absolutely love the color. The model was stitched on, it's a deeper, more reddish color, which was beautiful. And I thought about that. I really didn't have anything, but I had this and I love it. So with the Barbaraanas, they're so cool. If you've never stitched one, there is a lot of color changes generally. Sometimes it's bigger swaths, like, you know, here as her hair is going and all, but then there's, you know, there'll be chunks, but then there's little things inside. There's some boats and some fish and everything else, and little pieces here and there. So the finished project is really lovely. I love looking when somebody has a finished Barbaraana. It's so pretty. But it can be, depending on what mood you're in and whether or not you feel like switching threads, it can be a little bit much. Do you know what I mean? So this is the one, when I was preparing, that I said on my current 25/7 piece is finished, I would go to this. Now I might do Harvest Star T, thinking about it, because that one, it's tough to tell, but I think Harvest Star is closer to a finish than this one. So maybe I would get that one finished and then work on this one and get this one to a finish. But I'm excited because that's 3 pieces. I'm trying to think, let me look at my notebook real quick, how many finishes I've had. I've had 6 finishes this year already. So in the month of January, I had 6 finishes. And I mean, I did have starts, and I'm always gonna have starts. I don't limit myself in that sense, but a lot of these projects are starting to see the end. So I feel really great about how they're getting progress. So this one is also slated for a 2024 finish. And I'm sure in my notes from my whip parade, I probably gave that as a goal. I'd be surprised if I didn't. Now this next one, I started last Thursday, but I had said I did not want to show it because I wanted to talk about it. This is a stitch along, and you know what? I just want to put flag so I know to write down all the information on the instructions. So it is hashtag 2024 Quaker flag sal. Now I'm doing the US flag. Now these Quaker flags can be found at Vivsters, which is on Etsy. The stitch along was started by, I first saw it on Gail's channel. Gail is Wombat Hollow Crafts, and she is co-hosting it with Nicole from Divinely Designs. If I say it fast, I don't mess it up. I don't think I mess it up. I'm sorry, Nicole, if I don't say it right. And they teamed up with Vivsters, Vivian from Vivsters, to create the stitch along. When this stitch along started, there was 3 flags in Vivian's store: the US flag, the Australian flag, and I believe the South Africa flag. And the US flag was a square. Vivian was very nicely made it a rectangle to fit the same size as all the other flags. And she has said, if you ever bought if you bought the square flag from her, reach out to her. She will send you this updated version so you can have the long version. In the course of, I don't know, it was probably about 6 weeks they were leading up to this. It started on Australia Day because Gail and Nicole are both in Australia. I want to say another 55 flags were created. Pretty much if you go to the Vivster shop and you reach out to her and you ask her, is it possible to make XYZ flag? She very generously goes and looks and sees what it is and then tries to make the Quaker out of it. And then there are some that are not a specific country. So there's lots of options if you want to do a flag, but say you don't want to do a country flag or whatever. So they're big. I'm not going to lie to you. It is 410 wide by 210 high. So this is a large project, but I have realized how much I love Quakers. I think they're just fun to stitch, to be honest with you. And I didn't do One Nation, which a lot of people did. And so I thought this one would be kind of fun to do. Now I did not go with a, you can't really do a white background on this one because if you'll notice here, so in the stars, so to speak, you stitch in white and then you fill in the whole, you know, diamond area, whatever, square, with blue. But when you get down here, it switches between red and white Quakers and there is no background. So if you were to stitch it on white, all of those would be very difficult to see. So, you know, thinking about options and colors, and I know, for example, One Nation, a lot of people did something along the lines of a vintage country mocha or that kind of color. And I bet you that will happen here too. I kept it neutral, but I went in a little bit different. I went cooler rather than warmer, and I went with a gray. I know you're surprised, right? Grays, blues, that's my wheelhouse. And that's where I am. So I last Thursday jumped on, there was a Zoom to, so this is, look at this fabric. Let me do this. This is 18 count Brave Boromir from Those Missing Stitches. Now, Those Missing Stitches, I want to say Lynn, right? I'm sorry, Lynn, if it's not Lynn. I'm almost sure your name is Lynn. She has a Flosstube. I am going to write her down. She just put an episode out, or an update. I'm words this morning. She just put an update out, I don't know, a day or two ago, and she did a lot of stitching in January. So there's some beautiful, beautiful stitching. So if you want to see what she's doing, and I think she's doing a giveaway. So I don't want to say it too loud because, you know, we don't want those that are not into stitching to hear about all of that. But, you know, she has hand-dyed fabric shop. So, you know, but anyway, what she's done this year is some of her fabrics she's putting in quarterly, some she's putting in monthly. I'm not sure there's any in there that's a year long. This one was in the month of January. So of course I ordered some more before January 31st because this I think is my only piece. And I mean, this flag, it won't use all of it, but it'll use pretty darn close most of it. So I did put in another order before the end of the month. I haven't looked to see what her monthly ones are this month. And I think there was a few new ones that she did for 2024. I don't know how long they'll stay and be rotated in and out. So it really is a great idea to maybe once a month check out her shop so you can see what's changed and so on and so forth, and see if there's things that you want. So anyway, what I did was I purposely stopped filling in this square because I wanted to stitch the white on that. Now, in person I can see it. I'm not sure. Can you see it on the screen? Because I was obviously wanted to make sure before I really got into this, was the white going to work on this fabric? And in person it most definitely will. On screen, I'll have to look this back and see how it looks on it. Because all of these, you know, they're filled in, that's fine. But then when you get farther down, it'll become an issue. So that is something to think about if you are thinking of stitching this, or any of them that has, say, white on its own somewhere. But the US flag is the one I know in particular. So that's the one I'm talking about. I think I'm going to change the called for red. We have a deep, deep navy. It's probably 939. I don't have it here right now. And then we have a lighter blue that will go in all of these squares. The white is probably B5200 because I wanted something as bright as possible. And then the red is still a work in progress. I think I picked something else from the called for, but it might be the type of thing where in the corner I stitch some stitches just to see, you know, what color looks nice and goes best. I wanted obviously to match all of the other colors nicely. So we'll see. I know it wasn't JSay a straight like bright red like a 321, but I can't remember what I used. So once a month, I think at least for 6 months, I think Gail and Nicole have committed to 6 months worth of monthly Zooms. And I don't know if it's going to be the end of each month because the first one was. And what they did very generously of their time, they did 2 different time slots. So one of them was a morning for them, which made it evening the night before for me. So for example, it was a 6 p.m. for me. Well, it was like 9 a.m. for them. And then they did another one. I think that was like early evening or evening for them, which obviously was like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. for me. So I didn't attend that one, but there was one, and I think they are going to be very much aware of time zones so people all over the world can participate in the Zooms if they so choose. So that was really nice, and that's really generous of their time. And I know they said that they'll do, you know, 6 months of Zooms. Whether or not they go farther than that, I don't know. I was watching Rachel Q Stitches, put out her monthly. So Rachel's gone, I think, mostly to monthly Flosstube videos just because life is busy for her. Let me write her down because she just came out this week with one. And she is stitching this as well. She was inspired by Stitching Mommy. So I'll put down Stitching Mommy too. Because again, Stitching Mommy always has great projects. But she was inspired to stitch this from Stitching Mommy. And her goal, Rachel, go for it. Her goal was to try to do, I think, 3 blocks a week. You are a better, stronger person than I am if you get that done. Because I'm finding there is a lot of stitches in here. These go nicely. These went quickly. I did all of these on the Zoom. And then I needed to start with the Quakers. You have to pay attention, obviously, because you need to count and whatever. The fill-in goes quickly, but there's a lot. These are denser squares than you think they are. I did want to say for anybody stitching the US one, on this side, there are 2 little, there's a slight mistake in the pattern. There's 2 little extra stitches. I mean, these are supposed to mirror each other, right? So they're up 1 more than they should be. Luckily, as I was stitching the Quaker, I was able to catch it, so that is mirrored now. But just be careful on that first. This one, I didn't find any. If I find any other issues as I'm going along, I'll let you know. But, you know, I mean, obviously mistakes happen sometimes. I'll reach out to Vivsters and maybe mention that as well so that she's aware of it. And maybe she's already knows and has fixed it since I've already gotten it. But just a quick, just to check that first square there in the top left corner, because there was a mistake on it. So hashtag 2024 Quaker flag Sal. I know that some people on the Zoom, they were talking about, you know, once they've stitched, say, their countries, there's countries, for example, to honor or celebrate their parents or their grandparents, or maybe other parts of their lives when they lived somewhere. It's such a great idea. And some people talked about doing their country and a larger, and then maybe a smaller count doing some of the other ones. So some fantastic ideas and great stuff. So if you want to join, and just reach out to one of them on Facebook, Nicole or Gail, and I'm pretty sure I put all that information in the description box below, and you can get the information about the Zooms, and you can see on Instagram the different posts and all the different flags that so far Vivsters has made available. Alrighty, so this full coverage I worked on last week, and it had been a call for Bringo. And so I said, well, I'll put it in my 10-day rotation. My 10 days went through Tuesday. So I stitched this one through Tuesday. So, I don't know if oh, there we go. Mini Paris Morning. It is a Heaven and Earth Designs. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Uliana Babenko. And it's all about the dog. It will be probably years before I see the dog, but for me, it's all about the dog. The colors are fantastic. I actually love this one quite a bit. And Uliana Babenko has several different pieces where that dog features. So I do have a couple more, but you know, we'll see, right? This is a mini, so it's not gigantic. I don't have it all the way down to the bottom corner, but let me show you in full what I do have. That is as wide as it's going to be. My full coverage that I do, so that's it. It goes a little bit farther. I'm almost at the bottom. One of these days I'll finish that, so I have the 3 corners. All my full coverage as of now is done on 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. I was watching Leanne from Small Town Stitches, and Leanne does quite a bit of 20 and even 20, 22 count, which I think is her preferred. And I was asking her about 1 strand or 2, and she very generously gave her opinion with what she works for her. So one of these days, I don't know if I'd be ready for a 22, but I'd like to try a 20 count. So this is the top. I'm going to fold it over because everything, I think I filled in maybe 3 stitches on this side. That was a specific color I was working on there. But I filled in all of this. There's a couple stray confetti pieces there, here and there, of colors I just didn't get to. I ran out of time. But this was all open. Quite a bit of this was open. And so now it is almost all full. And it's so funny. I stitch in hand, even full coverage. So sometimes that's a blessing because I can go anywhere. And sometimes it's not a blessing because I can go anywhere and I don't know where to go, right? But it has been so nice to figure out, the more I do full coverage, the more I settle into kind of a routine of what I'm stitching. I don't do anything specific. You know, I can't even fathom parking. It blows my mind when I see people with parking. I don't fill in a specific color. I don't fill in a specific square. I just kind of go where the needle takes me. And, but each time I do this, and the more I do this, I fall into some sort of rhythm. I can't really explain it, but I find that I think especially with ones I start going forward, because I'll start them with this rhythm, it'll go even easier in my brain. But it's still a learning curve for me because full coverage it's 1X at a time. So if you just plug away, if you are a plugger or a grinder or somebody that just keeps showing up, that's all you gotta do is just keep showing up and doing X's. But it can be a little confusing in which way to attack that each X kind of thing, especially with lots of confetti. So I'm learning and I'm getting there. And this finished in a nice spot, I think. So this year I did give myself very modest, really modest goals. Very modest. I had said just 2,000 stitches on this one for this year. I'm anticipating and hoping that all of them will get, I was going to say way more than that. I'm not sure what I classify as way more than that. But I'm filled out library cards for each and every one of my pieces. And I've got 20, oh, I messed up there, but it says 2024. What my goal was. And then like a little library card, every time I stitch my rotation, I'll fill it out. So I stitched this one from 120 to 130, and I got 1,182 stitches. And again, I stitch 100-ish a day. So obviously I did a little bit more than that if you average it out per day. but my goal is to get a minimum of 1,000 stitches in that 10-day rotation. But generally, once I hit, unless I'm in a specific area and on a roll, generally I will go between 100 and 120, and then I put it away for the day. So it will see work. It just won't, you know, necessarily be done in 2 years. But this year is kind of a learning curve for me to learn. These are all going to fall because where I normally put them, I kind of made a mess of my scraps because I was looking for scrap fabric for something and I didn't put them away neatly. It's a learning curve. And then as I see what I've done this year, then looking forward to next year's goals, I might be a little bit more aspirational. Do you know what I mean? So, all right, let's move on. Summer at the Shore. I don't know. Was this for... I don't know. I don't think this was a... Oh, you know what the prompt this was for? I was doing it for categories for waves. There are waves here. I don't think I put pictures. When I update in some of these online groups, if I forget to take a picture, it's, you know, I don't worry about it. You know, sometimes I am able to do the starting and ending picture. Sometimes I forget. So, but anyway, Summer at the Shore. And that's why I did pull it out though, from Cottage Garden Samplings. This is another one, could most definitely be a finish this year. Now, it's solid down here. The waves are full coverage, but they're chunks of color. Do you know what I mean? So unlike, well, what was the Stitch Rovia on the beach? That was full coverage too. And you could take a strand, but you really had to, it was a little tricky with the counting. This one won't be as bad. I think I'm going to do all of the lighter color, and then it'll just be like filling in kind of thing. I did some more, I had some time to really concentrate. So I did some more of the seagull because this is the most intensive area. So I'm almost there, and then this will be easier. I did work a tiny bit. Mo and I had haircuts back to back. We go to the same person. And so Mo went in for a haircut. I stayed in the car, and I just did some stitching before I had to go in. So it's coming along. You know, you don't necessarily see a ton of difference, but this is very intensive work. So it just takes a little bit of extra time. 18 count compelling Conchis from Those Missing Stitches. So that's where we are. So really looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 of the pieces that I've shown could easily be finishes this year. This one probably has the most. I'm gonna start putting these down here, but it's doable. So I'm encouraged by that. It's exciting. And then not that I feel bad for starting things. I feel bad if you feel bad for starting things, but I never do. But you know, getting the finishes is fun. This is Spring Quaker from Lila Studio. There we go. This covered a couple prompts in Bringo. I would have shown it to you last week because it had a prompt, I believe, then. And then I had another prompt come through. I think it was something with words. So I kept going with it and kept stitching. So I'm just going to show you this half because it really is only this one half. I did change up, as you can see, I changed up the colors quite a bit. And I do put my changes down in the description box below. First, I chose the fabric. I said I want to do something pink for spring. And so I chose 18 count rose hips from Under the Sea fabric. I have not checked Under the Sea this year yet to see if this has been put in their regular line. It was a fabric of the month, one of the months last year. And then I wasn't feeling the brown. And so I changed to multiple different shades of greens. So it is a like for like. When there's one color of brown, all of those greens, I think 500 is one of them. I think that's the darker of the greens. And then I can't remember what the brighter is. It's listed down below. I did change where you see these colors, but you can see this flower, these flowers, I did not change. I said they fade in a little bit more, but you know what? It works for me. And then I know I changed the words. That was in black, and I went with a brown because the brown and pink are always nice. So I finished first. I was determined. I finished this, got that all done. Then I came up here and I had to finish this one. So I did all that. I did this here, and then I extended the words. Now, my H's will look a little different. Let me go even closer to this. I was a little bit influenced by Summer Quaker, which I am also stitching. And Summer Quaker had H's that were two different sizes. A couple of them, the little leg over before it goes down was lower and a couple were higher. And I decided to make them all higher because it was even with all of the other letters. And in this one, they're charted lower, but I decided to make them higher. So for example, if you look at the word the, because that's the easiest one to show you, the middle of the H now is equal with the cross of the T and the top of the E. It's charted to be one below that. And I just changed that up. So I think there's only these two H's. I don't remember what the rest of the words are. So I think those were the only two I needed to change for letters. But I'm telling you, this Quaker here, this thing took forever. And then I was able to come back up this way. I think I will continue across this way. I'm not sure if I look at the pattern how much more I have. I have another giant Quaker, and then the corner on the edge is a floral one with some letters. So this one has the entire alphabet. I don't think the summer one does. I think it just has the letters to say summer. So there'll be some letters in the far corner up top here. I have two corners finished, just the top and the bottom. And the empty spot here is the bunny. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to make them white bunnies. I'm going to do something brown, but I'll wait till I get all the bunnies in so I can really figure that out. So that's where this one is. This one will go away now. Spring Quaker, Summer Quaker, Fish and Chips, and Black Vintage Sampler are all part of a rotation for me. And I try to rotate them once a week and get 500 stitches in them. So this one got more than that because it spanned 2 different weeks. I don't know if it got 1,000. I'd have to really look at my numbers. I keep track of what I stitch, but I don't put it in any type of Excel spreadsheet or anything. So I don't necessarily have the numbers ready at hand. I'd have to sit there and calculate, which is what I had to do for Mini Paris this morning. But that's only a short thing. If I had to do it for all of them, it would take a while. This is the piece that I'm calling my 25/7, 2 strands a day, 1 strand, whatever you want to do. Sometimes it's 1, 2. Sometimes lately it's been 2 strands a day on this one. And I don't know if that's 25 minutes or not. Basically, the idea is to pick up a piece for a strand, 2 or 25 minutes, 25 stitches, whatever it is, and just get a little bit of work into it. And a little bit of work each and every day will get you where you want to go. I've stalled on this one. It's beautiful. The frame is beautiful. This is Summer Poppies, Poppies in Summer. I guess Summer Poppies if you were to say it properly, I think. From Croccette Gogo. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful lacy border. Thing is, I've stitched this series has 3 flowers. I've stitched 1 already. I think it's the daisies. I'm not stitching the 3rd. Stitching the border a second time, I found has been a little bit of a chore. And it's beautiful, and I'm going to be so happy when it's done. But redoing it again has been not my favorite thing to do. And so this sat most of last year, to be honest with you, because I just didn't want to stitch that border. So when I wrote this down in my notes for my 2024 parade, and I put in what my goals were, this was either plug away and get a finish or decide you just didn't want to stitch it anymore. And so what I decided to do this week is, and I'm doing it with the white right now because I figure once I get this done, it's basically all greenery. So that won't be that bad. I'm putting right now 2 strands of white a day. And I've gotten quite a bit accomplished in the course of that. And I go back and forth because, I'm really hoping. I'll fudge it. I'm not going to worry about it otherwise, but I'll fudge it if the corners don't meet. But so far, I think they are. I've been trying to base it off of what I have floral-wise. I'm not sure I would ever dare try this border without having something to base it off of. Because, it is repetitive, but there's a lot of little parts that you could easily kind of forget. This is being done on an 18 count Old West from Color and Cotton. It's a slightly different color than I did the daisies on, but they are both kind of that neutrally beigey sort of thing. So they will be, that other one will not be scrapbooked until this one is done, and then they'll be scrapbooked together. Whether it's probably side-by-side pages. I might put these in my 9x7 and have them each have their own page layout. So right now I'm going to just continue 2 strands a day here. And then once I get to here, I'm going to make it more of 25 minutes. Now, maybe that's going to be 2 strands. I don't know. It all depends, right? If you have a nice block or if you have to change colors. There are, I don't know if you can tell, but there are several different colors of the greens. They're pretty similar, although in person, if you look at it, you can notice that. But so it's not just one straight color that I'm doing. And I do have to go back and fill in the inside of these 2 flowers. I didn't do that either. But right now my goal, and I'm hoping by the time I see you next week, this is completely done and I'm working in here. And there's no reason, certainly by the end of February, but I'm hoping even by mid-February, this one can be a full finish and I can go into one of the other ones. I have decided to commit at this point to finishing it rather than ditching it, because I'm really, you know, once that white is done, I feel like it's really going to be an easy sailing with that. So that's that one. Now, next, I pulled this one out. It was funny because I was struggling. I just have to find it. I was struggling in the crafts and books acrostic. And like I said, all of these challenge groups I will list down below. That's crafts and books Facebook group. And the acrostic was hibernate. And I was struggling for the I. I kept thinking ice or something with that and so on and so forth. And then I was flipping through and I said, I have a pattern that starts with I. It's Ireland. So why not just stitch on this one? So I did. I'm still up here in kind of the clouds and that I'm not in the deeper blue anymore, that mid blue. I haven't started down here yet. I got 400 stitches. I'm not sure you're going to notice that, but especially because, well, most of the white is starting to get covered by stuff now. If the white had been on own on this, I would have been a little nervous. This is 18 count champagne from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I chose it because I wanted that, you know, to get some sort of the gold or whatever from, you know, the Irish colors. So I thought some sort of background like that might be nice against the actual thing. I'm not going to say the word Ireland, as you can tell, probably could tell. Well, actually, the way it's charted, it would fit. I'm not going to bother actually putting that word in there. So that's where I am. And again, you know, just back and forth with these colors. Probably not a lot to see in the white until it's completely covered is a little bit difficult to see. But that one will, I don't know if I set myself a goal of finishing it this year. I'm still not 100% sold on the colors that were charted for this area here. So I have to work on that at some point. So once I get the top part done, then I'm just going to stop procrastinating and play around with a bunch of greens, especially on that fabric, right? Because we need to see what they look like. And then I will kind of focus on it. So I'm thinking once I get that figured out, then maybe that's a 2025 finish. But if I have going into 2025 an idea, I don't think it'll take that long. So when I finished Mini Paris Morning, I pulled out my next full coverage, and this one hasn't seen a lot of time lately. I don't remember if it was on the Heaven and Earth page or full coverage, and I'm not sure. There was a Facebook page where somebody did finish this, and it looked so good. Not recent. It's probably been several months now. And I had already started. I was, you know, already working on this, but it just kind of made me think, oh, I do enjoy stitching this one. This is a completely different look, obviously. You know how many I have that are bright, bright, bright colors. And I wanted something that was a little bit different. So there's probably maybe 25 to 30 colors in this one. It's Mini 1, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and it is artwork by Zindy Nielsen. If you don't know, I live in a beach town. The ocean is my happy place. And so I don't have really great flowing hair like that. I never did. I have really straight hair. But I kind of think of, you know, me sitting on the beach, well, in a chair now, because I'd never get off the ground if I sat straight on the sand. But, you know, there's a poetic license that. But me sitting at the beach type of thing. So not a lot to see yet. that's where I am. Like my other full coverage, 18 count, 2 strands over 1 full cross. And so I have the top 2 corners. That's as wide as it's going to be. It's obviously taller than it is wide. And I was really actually quite proud of myself. I spent, so I started this, what day did I start this? So it would have been, it was only this week, and it was only Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So only 3 days. I spent all those 3 days on one color and all of this. Because what it does, and it's funny, in person it looks a little bit more beigey than it does on that picture. But I think overall, you know, it's going to be nice when you look at the in its totality. There's probably 2 or 3 shades that you mix in to kind of get that kind of variation, gradation of color. And so what I've done is I took one color and this whole section and just kept filling in. So I've got a little bit more here before that color fades away. I'm not sure for the rest of this rotation if I'll just continue with the same color over here or if I just start doing some fill-in. I might do some fill-in because I think that would be kind of, you know, pretty easy then. And sticking between, you know, I think I stuck in a 20 square, you know, 20, so 2 of the squares, so 20 stitch block. And I just kept going and going and doing like that. I have BritBox, and so I have been getting into the habit of putting on an episode of Father Brown in the morning and stitching on this the last 3 days. So that's what I've been doing. I don't always stitch on Fridays, my full coverage, but maybe today I will. Because I've really actually, you would think it's one color and it's not super exciting, but I've actually been really, really enjoying that. So you never know, right? Next, so I did stitch this before February started. I stitched it earlier in the week, maybe over the weekend. But this is my February of the Cottage Garden, the Garden Journal from Cottage Garden Samplings. This is February's Primrose. And so, you know, they're all started. Now the goal is to get them finished. This one may be finished this month. It will work for, there's a new game in my group. I'll talk about it in a little bit. And it will actually work at least for one of the prompts. Technically 2, but I have other things I want to do for some of the other prompts. So, but it should work for one of the prompts. I'm having trouble with categories this month, looking at my stuff. I mean, I know it's only February 2nd, but, you know. So that's where I am. And what's funny is I put this away, and then I realized I have 2 letters left, an I and an A in that secondary color. You'd have thought I'd remember to do that, and then all the words would be done. But I kind of got distracted. I decided to, I think I brought over this border here, and I know I definitely brought over that border there. I did that crown. I did some more greenery. So I was kind of getting distracted filling in all of the extras. And then I have a tendency with these, I feel like, is I find myself filling in all of the outer sections to a degree. Obviously, once I have something to kind of count off of. And then my final thing always is to finish in the middle. So I have I have several flowers left, 4 more flowers to do. So all around here is all of those, the floral elements. And this border will be really easy. Another little element. So this is actually, if I can get in a groove with the flowers, I can get this one done this month. If I can't, because there's several colors, you know, there's an outline color, a middle color, and then an inside color. This one here is, did I say it's an 18 count unnamed? So it didn't have a name on it from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. But that's where it's at. So it is February 2nd. And if I do it for the prompt I'm thinking about, that would be 200 stitches. And you know I won't just stay at that. I'll try to get more than that. And that would just be at one point during the month. So pretty good odds on that one. I've really been trying to get this one finished. I'm going to cover this because it's this one I'm doing before winter is over. Obviously, we're done in January. We still have another month and 3 weeks or so. So I've got time. And odds are I'll probably finish it and then hang it up post. Because I don't think I still have spring to do. So I could see this one hanging around longer. I did I was inspired by the color of the model. So I did find, and I talked about this last time, but I did find a pink that worked. And the white looks like it's, you know, the white shows up like many times. It's so funny. Sometimes it shows up more on the camera, sometimes more in person. It shows up enough for me. You know, it's not going to pop as much as if it was on a black, say, but it shows up where I can see it, and I'm fine with that. I am using the DMC colors as opposed to, there's some variegateds in there, I think, charted, but I like the DMC color so far on the bird, so I'm enjoying that. And that's where it is. These are pretty quick to stitch. They're pretty easy. It's just a matter of sitting down, and there's some counting. You know, I'm not going to lie with that there. Their borders are easy, actually. So sometimes borders are a little bit challenging. This one, not so much. This one's good. I like that. In fact, if I was to zoom, I would actually probably do the border and the words before the bird because there's more counting in the bird. And my very last project. So this piece was the piece, I believe, I've kind of lost track. I need to put some notes in my calendar and just say each week what the large focus project of the week is. I'm almost sure it was Black Vintage Sampler from Owl Forest Embroidery. Well, that's the one that got it. And I think now I'm starting back with fish and chips after this. It's a little fluid because with the prompts, I did multiple projects in a week. So that's where I kind of confused myself a little bit. So I might take, there's a small year-long calendar. Oh no, that's next year's. I wonder if there's one in the front. There probably is. I might just put some sort of notation in front of each one so I know which project each week it is. Obviously that, I don't know when my week starts and when I switch over. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't know. It might be from video to video. But this is where we are. This is done on an 18 count rainy day from Stitch Me. Love it. And as usual, the work was coming down here. So you can see I definitely spent most of my time, in fact, I can fold it over this way. Most of my time down here. So this was fiddly, I'm not gonna lie. That took me quite some time. But now I've got, that's done. So this happens 3 times. So we have this, the flower in between, a second time the flower, and then the last time over there. So I'm not sure I picked the right way to stitch it, but I will continue doing the, you know, the up and down border part, and then I'll fill in. I also filled in all the way down here. Yeah, I did. All of these flowers and all of the leaves. So this side, except for, you see how here there's a little inside? That all of these need that. I'll probably, at some point when I don't always have, I seem to always get to the end of the thread where there's not enough to do that. But say I end a section somewhere, then I'll go back and start filling those little pieces in. But this side, except for those little pieces, that side of the border is done. And then, you know, trying to work on that. And then I do have quite a bit, almost the entire border on the other side. Most likely, though, what I will do is I'll flip the project over and stitch it upside down. Because you know, in hand, if you're stitching on, I stitch lefty. I write lefty. No, I don't. I write righty, but I do most things. I eat lefty. I just do a lot of things left-handed. And when I learned how to stitch back, oh gosh, probably early 90s, whenever it was, I just, for some reason, did it lefty. And when I came back to it in 2019, I didn't even think about it. That was just the way it was natural to do. So when I hold my fabric, obviously I hold in the right hand. This side, starting in the upper left, is nice and easy, right? Because I'm holding all the extra fabric. By the time I get to here, there's a lot of extra fabric kind of flopping around. So I think if I flip it over, that'll make it a lot easier and we'll go faster when I get to that point. I just want to get this border extended more before I do that, and then I can go with it. So my goal is to get this one finished this year. It's doable. I know it is. And maybe I have to, add extra time with this one and have it be, you know, twice a month and throw it in there. Or maybe I do a strand a day for a month or two, something to kind of push it along. Because this one was started as a New Year, New Start in January of 2023. So my goal is most definitely to get it done this year. I don't want it hanging around any more than that. All right, so that was my stitching for the week. So I want to show you my challenge book and how I did. I did get a blackout in Bringo, so I filled in all of my squares. Bringo at 100 stitches a day is doable if there was more than that. So this side I had all the Bringo prompts. Over here we have categories. So what will happen is I don't necessarily care that all of these are the pictures. Like I said, if I forget a starting picture, I'm not going to worry about it. I know what I started and when I finished, and so I can just fill it in my book itself. I didn't get everything, and you don't have to. So I missed 1, 2, 3, 4 prompts out of the 12. And there's some rules with categories. So if I think I have something that works, that breaks the rules, I'll just do it and do it here and not bother with it in the group there. I didn't color it in because I did finish the last day of the month. I did get my 200 stitches for, oh, that's right. I pulled out mini 1 because of Ecru. That was what I used for E for the Crafts and Books acrostic. So I've got to color that in. So I did complete that acrostic this month. I did complete the challenge from Late Night Stitchers. I got my minimum 750 stitches in. You can, for Late Night Stitchers, and you no longer need a code word. They've decided to do away with the code word. And you don't have to do 750 on just one. You just have to do a combined in the course of the month type of thing. And they ask you to show pictures. So here for Whip Frenzy, as you can see, I worked on 9 projects and I have what the code word and everything was. For 24 hours of cross stitch, what I do, I don't count hours as I never remember to look at a clock or stop and start anything. So I just count stitches. So for those 3 days, I got 2,313 stitches. So if you think about 100 stitches an hour, that's, I mean, sometimes I do more, sometimes that's all I get. So I don't know if it would have been technically 23 hours, but my stitch alongs that I've been aware of for January, Do You Want to Stitch a Songbird, the Quaker flag Sal, and Somi Sarah is doing the Fun for 50 Sal, where she's starting her, and Flossie Sews and Grows. See, that's where I have this information. It's nice. I haven't actually technically used that hashtag for any starts yet, but it's there because I knew I wanted to throw some hashtags on because I know I'll have starts. I don't know if I'll start anything specifically that Sarah's starting. She picks such great projects. Now, let me just show you plans. Moving into plans, that's February. So there's my February. I am not a stellar doodler, so don't look closely at these hearts because they are, whew, they are a little misshapen. But basically, you know, just a little bit of a fun little cover page. If you want to see fabulous doodlers, go to Pinterest and just put in bullet journals. Oh my goodness. And that's where I got this idea. I mean, I'm all going to be checking out Pinterest. None of these are going to be my bright idea. Magazine Monthly acrostic this month is Snowshoe, and I'm giving myself the goal of 200 stitches per letter. And there's different acrostics. I will most definitely double dip. I'll double dip with categories. You name it, I will. Categories, the letter is D. I'm already finding it a little bit challenging when I was looking at my projects. Late Night Stitchers, we have our 750. I'm going to do fish and chips. And this week, the fish and chips is the called for. So that I'll get that in a month easily. I find that one fun to stitch. I'm also stitching on Colorado Cross Stitcher, their winter camp, her winter camp. I don't remember what the hashtag is. I have to look that up. It was stitch on anything with an animal, and the goal is to start and finish it. And I am doing, let me bring this over here for a second. Quirky Quaker, Queen Bee. I am also doing this for Carla Being Crafty. Carla's hashtag Be My Own Valentine, B-E-E. Write down Carla's name, My Own Valentine stitch along. Every February she has one, and it's to stitch on something with a bee. You do not have to finish it in February. Cross Stitch Camp, the goal is to start it and finish it in the month. I had already picked this one for Carla's stitch along in February anyway. And so then when I saw Colorado Cross Stitcher list what her winter camp was, I was like, woo, there you go. 2 things and all set in one. So I'm sure I'll meet that goal. February stitch alongs, like I said, the BEE, Be My Own Valentine Sal, and Year of the Dragon Sal. That's hosted by Samantha, the Huga stitcher, and it's to stitch on any dragon. And I believe I'm going to do my 2x2 stitch art Celtic dragon. Let me write down Samantha's, because she talks about all the information about the stitch along. Now, she's starting at February 10th, which is the start of the Lunar New Year, because this is the Year of the Dragon. I am actually going to play around with some variegated flosses. So I've got some stuff coming. I don't know what I'm doing. So whether or not it'll get started February 10th really depends on whether or not I have a decision on flosses. I will pick a fabric I have. I'm not going to order a fabric just for that. I have plenty of fabrics. So I have an idea of what I would like to do. And when I figure that out, I'll let you know. But I do want to participate in that stitch along. I also have mini Until the End from Heaven and Earth. So when I finish mini 1, when my rotation's done on that, I will pull out the dragon full coverage piece I have, and I will work on that as also for this stitch along. Crafts and books. Her acrostic this month is Leap Year. Now she does say 200 pieces, 200 stitches per letter, or you can do 300 penalty stitches. The letters don't, except for one E. I think it's just one E is all that Magazine Monthly, Snowshoe, and Leap Year have in common. Thank you, Carolyn and Beth. You did not plan that well. So I will need to come up with new things for that. And then I have a new challenge that I'm hosting on my Facebook group. Now, please know, if you are not on Facebook, don't worry. I always say that with all of my stuff. I do not require you to be on Facebook. If it is a place that you are uncomfortable being, don't worry. Now, some people will just create a Facebook just to do cross-stitch stuff, and they don't do any of the other friend stuff. And that way, all you ever see is cross-stitch. So that's an option. But if you really just don't want to go there at all, do not worry. I'm going to hold this up. So if you want to screenshot it, you can. Or if you just have trouble seeing it, you can reach out to me and I'll send you the prompts. So we're going to do I Spy challenges each month. And we're starting in February. It's hosted by me. And basically, I have 10 prompts. And it's I Spy, and then I give you 10 prompts, and you find projects that have that. So for example, pink, or something that flies, or something that makes you smile. There are, you know what the rules are? To have fun and stitch on your projects. So if you have to make a giant stretch across the Grand Canyon to get from this prompt to your project, go for it. I love when people are creative like that. I want to know about it. I want to see it. I want to hear about it. If you are on the Facebook group, create a post within the event. Show us start and finish pictures. Show us what you're working on. Let us know how, because when you pick a project with a prompt, and sometimes it, pink is easy, right? I mean, it's easy. We have pink on our project. But when you make that jump, like something that leaps, and there can be lots of things, that helps other people. I know for categories, sometimes when I am really stumped, I will look through other people's posts and say, oh, that's what they did for that prompt or whatever. So it is very, very helpful. You make your own goal. My goal is to stitch on 200 stitches per prompt. If your goal is to get 20 minutes before work on that prompt, you go for it. That's fine. So let me hold this up so you can see if you wanted to screenshot what this month's prompts are. No, you don't have to stitch on the exact area of the prompt. So if you have red in your project, but you're not stitching the red, no worries. It's just, is there red in your project? And if you are participating on Facebook, I just asked you to show us the cover page or something so we know where that there's red. And again, no huge rules. There's no punishments. There's no nothing like that. I'm not gonna thumb you down because you quote unquote did it wrong. None of that stuff. We are here for fun. I know some people, when they hear about the games and things like that, they're like, oh, it's so stressful. Not this one. You could do, I know somebody said they have 7 prompts in one project. Go for it. You'll get a lot of, depending on what your goal is, you could get a lot of stitching done that month on that piece. That's it. My goal is for you to get some stitches in and to have fun. Rules for our hobby? Nope, I'm not all about that. I am a rule follower, believe you me, but not for our hobby. We don't need that kind of stress. So feel free to join me, whether it's on Facebook or not. And, you know, if you have something you're really proud of, maybe you get a finish on one of these. Send me a picture if you're not on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I feel free, you know, to post your pictures. This is a group for us to celebrate all of our stitching. So let's have some fun with it. Otherwise, for plans, if I look in my bin, I do want to start Ruskin's Penguins. Now, I am thinking, and I don't know if this is going to be it, but I'm thinking of going with some sort of wild blue-ish so that white will pop. This is called Mermaid's Dream from, unfortunately, To Dye For Fabrics because she's not dyeing this year. But possibly. I'm not wedded to this, but that's an idea. Feel free to either talk me into or out of that if you've got another solution. The Quirky Quaker you saw. V is for Valentine from Heartstrings Sampleries. I don't have any of the fabrics for any of these other ones. Well, this one I don't need. I'm going to try I'm going to start my Luca S kit, the red mailbox, this month. I have never ever done a kit. Well, I've started a Mill Hill, but that's it. I've never done anything like this. So this is a new experience. And then I have it here with me. I pulled out, Mo doesn't know I have this. I pulled out, here we go. Here it is, good old Aston Villa, the claret and blue. So I found a stitch that basically, that's the Aston Villa Football Club logo. I don't want to stitch all that blue. So I pulled the jersey out, whether I go by the blue right here or the blue here in the logo. I'm going to grab a fabric that it's that color. And then the outer edge, I think I'll do in black. So I'm not going to have to, I don't want to worry about whether or not a white will show up on that. Because if I do, you know, this kind of lighter blue, white could be an issue. So that is also a February stitch. The reason why I want to stitch that is I want to stitch it for Mo. And in September is our 25th wedding anniversary. So that is my goal, is to have it finished by September 25th. So I have, if I don't stitch the blue, I think it's doable. If I were to stitch all the blue, that could be a while. So I need to print off the project, see what the sizing is, find a fabric. My blue ice opal would work, but do we want a sparkly? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if we want sparkly opal fabric for that. We'll see. But that is the other goal for February. I always have to kind of remind myself with my digitals. I keep meaning to print them off and put them in my little bin here. This is my bin that I use for the year that I put my projects in that I want to start. And then I can always add in and stuff as we go. But I keep meaning to print off a cover sheet of the digitals, and I haven't done that, so I've got to get on the ball with that. So those are plans. Happy mail. I have one piece to show you. So I've been getting in trading cards, right? And again, I'm not showing you those till I have this, till I do the special Flosstube, right? So along with Ellen, along with her trading cards, it's so funny. She put a note and she said, because she knows I'm planning to fully finish 55. And she said, do they all have to be your stitching? If not, here's one from my under the bed box. Now, if they all have to be my stitching, she's like, you know, do what you want with it, type of thing. Well, this is going in my scrapbook. I never really thought about whether or not all 55 had to be my stitching. I don't think they necessarily do, because fully finishing, you know, this is gorgeous. I want this in my scrapbook. This came from Awesome Pattern Studio, number 472, Mandala Seahorse. Of course, Seahorse, she knows me, and Brights and everything else. This is beautiful. Ellen, thank you. I am so touched. When I put anybody else's stitching in my scrapbooks, I will put, and you get credit underneath. And I have a few that I do have to do with the scrapbooks. But I am always honored and just floored when somebody sends me something they stitch. That is the greatest thing in my mind ever. I understand how much time and effort went into this, and for you to share that with me is amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. She also did send a cute little dinky dies. She said blue's her favorite color and she loves dinky dies. So she said, here's one for you to try. So thank you. I'm when I saw this, I was just completely speechless. I'm like, Mo, look at this. And of course, Mo doesn't quite get it the same way I know all of you would. But I made him look anyway, and I made him have to hear my whole story. I am just, thank you. That's all I can say. That was my happy mail, and that was just amazing. Plus all of the trading cards coming in. It is just, I love going to the mailbox right now. Shopping. I have two things to show you for shopping. One is a fabric of the month, and I'm going to do that first so you can look away. I got my Stitch Me January fabric of the month. I do the colors, and I do 18 count Aida. Oh, I hope I didn't show it there. If you do not want to see, look away. I know the spoiler thread is up on Bestitch Me at this point, but don't look. I'm showing it now. You know, I'm not even going to say the name. I'm going to show you. I don't know if that would give it away. Let me show you the whole piece. This is so pretty, really pretty. I'm going to put it down. I have no idea what to stitch on it. If you've received yours and you said, I know exactly what I'm going to stitch on it, let me know. I'm curious. I need some inspiration on that one. Most of the time with the fabric of the months, I'll say I have some sort of idea of where I'd want to go with it. Not always. But that one, whew, I don't know. And it's beautiful. I just don't know what to do with that one. So reach out to me and let me know what you think of. The other thing, I was watching Sandy, Stitching with Sandy. My list of Flosstubers this week is going to be really long because my notes I keep adding people. And Sandy showed is it spring? I think it's called spring. Yeah, spring 2024 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. And, oh, am I covering? Oh, actually I was. I don't want to show my address. I know many of you know it because you're doing trading cards, but I don't want anybody and their uncle seeing my address. I got to remember to start inking those out so I don't. Anyway, let me hold it with this hand so I can do this over. The Just Cross Stitch magazine. I get the digital version of Punch Needle Primitive, which I really like. I don't mind digital. I forget about it, to be perfectly honest with you. So Sandy showed this. She did not a formal flip through, but she was showing projects and talking about it. And I liked so many of them. So I immediately went and I thought, you know what, let's get a subscription. It'd be fun. They're kind of changing things around this year. They're, you know, kind of expanding what they're doing, Just Cross Stitch. And I said, let's do that. If you look in the back, you can see, I think they still do. Yeah. So just a real quick, pretty picture of all the different projects. So if we start like that, and then we just go all the way up. Carolyn Zook always does flip throughs. I'll link her down below. I'm sure she's done a flip through of this one. In fact, I know she has because somebody said they watched it and they saw a project that I was talking about. So I don't know if I was talking about something on a Zoom. I think I was. And Debbie reached out to me. Glitter Dove. Glitter Dove, what are you, Glitter? On Instagram. I'm going to write you down, Debbie. Debbie does some awesome work. So anyway, I had talked about how I liked this piece quite a bit. I wanted to stitch it, and Debbie reached out and said, let's do it. Debbie is a really bad influence on me because she keeps saying, let's do this together. So it's all your fault I have all these starts, Debbie. So anyway, what was really super fun was Sandy showed this one because Sandy stitched the model stitch. And she's got her little name, her little byline of credit, which I think is fabulous. I get it, Sandy, because I have a few cards that were published in card making magazines. So I completely understand how fun it is to have that little teeny tiny byline. So anyway, I love this one. I don't know if I would do these colors. It's kind of fun. It's charted in Valdani. And Valdani, you know, whatever the Valdani is there. I don't know if that's just cotton or if that's 3-strand hand-dyed variegated embroidery floss. They don't give you a DMC, but you could easily create your own, right? Because you could create your own colors if you wanted your palette. This palette is a little bit more subdued if you wanted to go brighter. When I first saw this, it reminded me, I don't know how many of you have kids around my kids' age, because it was really big back when my kids were probably in elementary school and Pinterest was like all the thing. Do you remember the crayon art? So there was one that looked exactly like this, where, you know, there was a picture of a woman with an umbrella. And then what you did with the crayon art was you had the crayon on the canvas, and then you heated it with a hairdryer and it would melt. And of course, because I was doing all the different crafty things, I did the melted crayon art with my kids, and not with the woman, but we just did kind of funky, you know, crayon art down the canvases, which has probably not made the move since then, but a lot of that was just fun, crafty stuff to do in the moment. But it totally reminded me of that. I love the look. I never did do the crayon one where you did this, and we were never quite that good at controlling where the crayon went. But I totally want to stitch this. So Debbie reached out and she said, let's do it. Let's stitch it. So we are going to have a stitch along. I'm thinking we'll start April 2nd. Debbie, does that work for you? Because our, you know, it's kind of a spring thing. And our hashtag is April Showers SAL. Stitch along. April Showers Stitch along. So whether you change colors or not, and you want to stitch it with us, Sandy, didn't you say you wanted to stitch it again for yourself? Because I know you don't have a ton of projects that you're trying to do all your ornaments this year. But so if you'd like to join, I think this would be so much fun. And I think it's totally doable. You know, I mean, it's, what's the 106 high by 75 wide. And I mean, you're basically stitching down rows. So how much fun is that? And then again, you can use colors that they've shown, or you can do your own. So hashtag April Showers SAL. I'm going to tentatively, because I don't want to start on April 1st. It's April Fools. And I don't, that just feels, you know, I don't want to be fooling anybody, right? So April 2nd, I have no idea what day of the week that is, because I don't think that far ahead. Let me see. April 2nd is a Tuesday. So if you'd like to join us, oh, April Fool's Day is a Monday. How appropriate that is. If you'd like to join, and then Debbie, reach out to me and let me know if that is a great, that works for you for a start. And then there's a lot of other ones in here. There's quite a few actually that I'd like to stitch in this. So you will definitely see stitches from this magazine, I totally believe. They do have some really cute different smalls that would work for trading cards, whether you are trading for a swap or if you're just trading with others. I know some people have started to, who was I just watching? Oh, Those Missing Stitches. She wants to stitch this. This is the Carolyn Manning piece, and it's going to become in 4 parts, I believe. What was I saying? No idea. Oh, smalls. I know a couple people said that they might do some smalls for retreats and give them for their table mates. So that's a cute idea too. And there are definitely several different options for smalls in this. So I am really impressed with what this, if this is how the magazine is going to look this year, I'm super excited. And we get the Halloween and Christmas, I think now they've changed it. So you get both special issues in your subscription. So that was what I bought. That's it with that. So giveaways, really good news. Family member surgery went well yesterday. So I think I'm getting ready now that I can think about other stuff. I kind of got my mind. I really, really wanted to do something, a challenge in my Facebook group. And I didn't want to, you know, I really like categories, but I didn't want to just do theirs. That's their idea. So I spent all week kind of playing around with ideas. And so that's how I kind of kept my mind busy, you know, if I wasn't doing other things this week. And so really great news came out of yesterday. And so that's great. So now I can turn towards pulling together what I want to do for 5,000 subscriber giveaway. Thank you for being patient on that one. And then wrap up life. There's not a lot, to be honest with you. Last Friday, I did go to the beach. It hit 70 here. It was so nice. I went for a walk on the boardwalk. Mo played pickleball. Yes, he did. Got together 3 other people and they played for, you know, an hour or whatever. So he was super excited about that too. Then it kind of, at the last few days, you know, it would get a little cooler. And then by Monday, you know, it's back to winter temperatures. It was quite nice yesterday. I think it almost hit 50. And I think this morning it said it was 42 out there. So it's not sunny today. Yesterday the sun was out and it was beautiful. Today not so much. But at least it is not minus 10 or whatever it could be in the wintertime. So I am excited about that. I don't have any idea what my plans will be though. This weekend is not anything specific as far as I know. So we're just going to wing it. We're going to wing it this week and see what happens. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. Lots going around right now. So please take care of yourself. Remember that stitching is a joy for you, hopefully, and not a chore. And use it for self-care if it just brings you joy, because you are important. Your happiness and your health and your mental health is all important. So take time just for you. All right. So until next time, happy stitching.